Welcome back to the Shared Diary. This is the space where the private becomes public and the stories we usually keep to ourselves finally find a home. I'm Lori.
I'm Debbie.
And I'm Nicole.
We are three women with no secrets, just life. Because life is always better when the diary is open. So grab a seat, lean in, and let's get into today's entry. Hello, everyone. We're so glad you're here. We're happy to be here. Nicole and I were just chatting about this topic. I think this is a very important topic. It's very relevant to my life right now. And Nicole, you said it's relevant to your life right now. Am I really the kind of person who can create the life I want? So it's a big topic. And I think a lot of people have that thought rolling around in their heads, but to talk about it, to get it out there, I'm just super excited for this conversation. So what about this conversation really touches you, Nicole, and what are you excited to dive into?
Well, this topic I think is special to my heart because I, have felt it so many times. And I know like so many of my clients have felt this too. And it's a topic that I think is important to talk about because it can stop us, right? When our thoughts of what it is we can do, if they're not the thoughts that are in alignment with what we would love, it can stop us from going after something that really was meant for us. And so this is a big one, and I'm really glad that we're bringing this up because I think so many people can feel this. They think about the thing they want to do, and then all of a sudden they're like, "But I don't know if I could ever create that. Like I can't necessarily see that, or even just not just even the thing, but the life I would love, right? The life that thrills me." So yeah, what about how has it showed up for you, this topic, for you in your life, Lori?
Well, it's super exciting to think about this because just in the last, it hasn't even been a year yet, I moved to Florida and I kind of did this. I created the life I want. And I never really thought, I don't know why I didn't think of it before, or if I just didn't think it was possible, or if, situations and circumstances was keeping me somewhere else. But it's been like the greatest thing. And so today I just want to bring that energy in and encourage everyone who's listening that you can do it too. You can do it too. I just had this realization on the beach the other day, and I did a little bit of, reflecting, and then I filmed a little bit and I posted something recently that talks about this. So it's just super cool that this is the topic. I didn't even really look ahead and know that this was coming up. So I'm very, very excited about this. And if you're listening or watching right now, we would love to hear from you. This is a shared experience. It's called the Shared Diary for a reason. We're opening our diaries and we want you to do the same. So chime in the comments, answer the questions along with us. And even if you're watching this later, you can still comment. We're live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So all of those platforms allow you to comment. So we're always wanting to hear from you and really want to make this a shared experience. So I'm going to dive in and just read a little diary entry. And it says, "Dear Diary, I caught myself doing it again today. I was watching someone online. She was confident, funny, completely herself. She wasn't apologizing for taking up space or trying to sound perfect. She just looked comfortable being who she was. And almost without thinking, I heard myself say, I could never do that. Not because I don't want to. I want to build something meaningful. I want to wake up one day and know I didn't let fear decide what my life became. But then the questions start. Would people think I've changed? If I stopped worrying so much about what everyone thought, would people still like me? If I showed up goofy, emotional, messy, would people still take me seriously? I used to wonder if those people are just born different, naturally more confident, never second guessing every decision. But what if I believed that story for so long that I've never stopped to ask if it's even true? What if I don't need to become someone else? What if I just need to stop believing I'm someone who can't? So today I'm asking myself, am I really the kind of person who can create the life I want. So, Nicole, what does that bring up in you? What's your first response to that diary entry?
Well, I've been there so many times, like, watching, um, this is again social media, and you and I've talked about it. It's an amazing tool, and it's also a tool that can affect the way you think. And I have watched people and be like, wow, they just feel so confident and they've got it all together. And oh my gosh, how amazing. And then I'd be like, how do they do that? Like, how do they do that without worry or without feeling like the judgment's going to come in? And so I've had that experience for sure. And then I have to go back. And one of the things that I know I was taught by a coach years ago on this was that we're often comparing somebody's almost end game to our beginning game or middle game, like wherever we are. So we're already thinking I should be that, or like look how far they are, but we forget how they got there. And like we didn't take into account that that probably took many times of showing up and talking into the camera and doing the things until they actually felt like it was them. And so, I think we forget that. At least I do. Lots of times I put myself in that comparison mode, and I have to really realize what they have done probably to be in that place.
Yeah, totally, totally. It's hard not to compare when you are showing up online. And I never really got this until I started an online business, an online community, and then started to show up for entrepreneurs and help them through their journey, because that was kind of my journey. I learned some things that I wanted to share. And trying to figure out how to be present and show up and be authentic and
Mm,
not copy someone else or not worry about who's watching, what they're going to say. I mean, I'm sure you have this too, Nicole. There's people in my life from the past that I would prefer not to know they're watching, just because part of me is like, well, I should be proud of who I've become, and I am, but it's just so different. And it's such a shift, right? It's a mindset shift. And I wonder if anyone who's listening or watching thinks about that kind of thing, and if you struggle with that. So, you talk a lot about in your work, Nicole, stories that people
mm,
believe about
yeah,
themselves. And
yeah.
so I love this anchor quote for today. Maybe the life you want isn't waiting for a different version of you. Maybe it's waiting for a different belief about who you are. So I think that is, the groundwork that a lot of us either haven't done or are still doing. And so what do you think when you hear that quote?
Yeah, 100% agree with that quote so much. I was thinking about what you were just talking about when you first started probably the Be Awesome Network and having to be online so much. It exposes you a lot, right? Sometimes it's like just being naked in front of everybody because it's like, here I am and I'm doing my best and I'm trying. And I remember when I first started with direct marketing, and that was back in 2015. And I remember they wanted us to promote online a
Yeah.
lot. And I had not done that. I'd put a picture of our kids every once in a while, or I would put just like little bits here and there. But I had never made it like a job or like putting myself out there. And I remember going to a party like shortly after I was doing all this work. And one of the guys at the party goes, "Oh, here comes Mrs. Social Media." And I was like, oh no. And I remember thinking like that just went in my head, like, is this too much? Like, am I like, now they see me as a different person? But I also had to realize that, I had to really change that. It wasn't about promoting me, it was promoting what I can do, like what I can do to
Mhm.
help somebody. And I was so grateful. Like when we had our family business, we would put ads in the paper. Like that was how we did it, right? We didn't have social media. And we would pay thousands of dollars to do the average, like whether it was in magazines or, in papers. And I kept thinking, how grateful I am that we have a social media platform that we can all show up and share things on there. So it was one of those things like, wow, I can do this, but also I'm so scared what other people are going to think of it. And it took me many times of posting, many times, so those times of doing it started to build up evidence. Like I didn't die while I was doing it. I didn't die, and I still had some friends and everything was okay, right? And my business was starting to flourish. So I started to build this evidence that it was okay to do that. And also then the belief came, right? I didn't have to become somebody else. I just had to believe that I could do this. Like it's possible. And it didn't come until I started taking action and doing it. And so I do love that quote because it's not about, I don't think it is about becoming somebody else, but it's uncovering the stories that you believe about the thing you are doing. And is it allowing you to be who you really, truly want to be?
Yeah.
How about for you,
Yeah.
Lauren?
Totally. And thank you guys for watching and chiming in. And hello to Debbie. We are missing our third podcaster, but this
We
is
are.
the summer and, people are away doing trips and taking breaks. And, I'm just grateful that Debbie, that you're being with us in the way that you can. So just want to say thank you for being here. Yeah, I totally agree. It's a little scary, but you're right. The social media is a tool. And I think we just need to remember that, that everyone's using it in one way, shape, or form. And it's perfect. It's perfect. How we use it is if we put ourselves out there authentically, then people are going to respond. And I know for me, the times that I've actually shared my heart, I've gotten a lot of, just positive responses. So I don't know why we're so scared. But social media aside, just designing the kind of life you want. I wonder, have you ever caught yourself saying, I just can't. I'm not that person who, and then, can you remember a time when you believed you weren't that kind of person who could do something, but later you proved yourself wrong? I think you just kind of spoke into this a little bit, Nicole, but can you think of a time in your life where you thought you couldn't, but then you did, and now you think you can?
So many, like even just what I was saying about those posts when I was doing direct marketing, right? I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. Or the amount of times they would ask us to reach out to people. I remember making these like emails and these calls and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And yet I would do it. And I had to start looking at it being like, I'm proud of you for taking the step, because if I didn't take the step, it wasn't going to happen anyways. And I had to keep thinking about my kids and the life I was building, because like if people are coming in for the first time today, I was a stay-at-home mom who really had to start everything over. And so every step felt like a brave move at that point. I remember like everything I did, like even going to the lawyers all by myself, going to the bank on my mortgage, like all these things were so huge for me. I went, and then when I started that direct marketing company too, I'd go to every meeting by myself at the beginning. I didn't know everybody, and until I started to have a team, I would just have to go and meet all these new people. And so everything felt huge. And so at the time, I didn't know if I could do it, but I really did keep that vision in place of why I was doing this and who I was doing this for, and the people that this would help. And I kept putting that there, and then I just say, go. And it was amazing. After, you almost get like a bit of a high, right? Of like, I did it. I did it. And then I knew I could do it again. And so, yeah, there's been so many moments where I thought I couldn't do it. And then I did it. And it usually is never as bad as I'm picturing it either. Like the future, I live into the future sometimes where it's like, oh, everything's going to fall apart. And really, no. So yes, Lori, like so many of these moments, so many. How about for you? Is there a time where you like were like, oh, I can't, or this is like you couldn't believe you'd have to do this?
Yeah, I remember thinking that when I was coming off of the my second marriage, the divorce, I was battling with being alone. And I think I've talked about this in previous episodes, but I think I really just didn't want to be alone. And that was why I sought out that second relationship. And, while I did learn a lot about myself and I made mistakes and I, own up to all of that, it's just that fear. And I think you have talked about this too, Nicole, just that fear of being alone and being the one that has to do everything for everyone, your kids, yourself, your parents eventually. And just that feeling. And I remember kind of recording myself in my phone, kind of like a video diary. And I just was like, crying. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do this, but I knew I had to. And so looking back at it was making me emotional right now. It was a really brave step. And looking back at that, I'm like, it just encourages me that I can take brave steps and make brave choices that will benefit me and help me. And also, as I'm helping myself, help others around me who I'm in relationships. So I
Yeah.
I wonder if you're listening right now and you have thought the same thing. I want you to finish this sentence in the comments. I've spent years believing I wasn't the kind of person who fill in the blank. I wasn't the kind of person who showed up online. I wasn't the kind of person who started a new life. I wasn't the kind of person who spoke up for myself, stood up for myself, whatever it is. Both Nicole and I really want you to dive deep into your heart, your mind, your memories, and just, it's kind of helpful to look in the past and just realize what you have been believing so that you can know how to change it for your future. Because the fact is you're not going to be able to create the life you want if you don't make a change. Because if there's something that you want that's not happening right now, then you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over, or believing the same thing over and over again. And I love this next quote is, you don't become a different person before you create a different life. You begin creating a different life, and in the process you discover who you were capable of being all along. I love that.
So true. So true. I love everything you're saying right here. And I was thinking about when we were talking about the past, there's a few things. The past can be beautiful if you look back at what you've been able to accomplish. I think I love doing that for myself and for my clients, is to make this list of all the things that you were able to overcome and move through. And I actually love doing it in January when it's the new year, because I love to even look like just the last year of all the people that came into your life that you never knew, all the things that you started to do that you didn't ever think it would happen. Like you didn't see it. And so when you start to make these lists of things, you start to see all that you can accomplish. So I love that part of the past, but the other part I don't love as much, is if we live from there. So if we, haven't been able to do certain things in our past, if we keep saying that is who I am, like that is a label I give myself. Like, I've never been able to commit. I haven't been disciplined. I've never been able to create a business on my own before. Yeah, lots of those have been true in the past, but you have today to start changing that around. And actually, many of those stories, if we were to actually look at them, not 100% true. Like the commitment one, if I look at a lot of people who say, I'm just not a committed person, and then we go back and look at the things they had to commit to over life to get to where they are, they actually are. They just maybe weren't committed to certain things that they didn't want, or whatever it is. So I think, it's very important to look at the past in a way where we have awareness of how we are looking at the past, and also know that we have the opportunity to create something new every single day. Every day we have that opportunity. And like, I really believe that every day that we wake up, we do have the opportunity to step into that, but it has to become a choice, right? of what we're going to choose to believe.
Absolutely. I think we have to be really careful about the I am statements, or I can or I can't, because I remember just kind of coming to terms with the fact that, I don't remember what I was talking to someone about relationships, and there's a there's some studies on attachment styles. I don't know if you've studied that at all, Nicole, or any of you guys who are listening or watching attachment. So, I was talking to someone about my past relationships. At the time I was single, and I was telling this person, I'm anxiously attached. And the person was like, "Why are you saying I am anxiously attached? You're literally defining yourself by
Mm,
that statement, and you're reiterating it inside of your brain, your heart, your mind, your soul, just by, your words are very, very powerful." And so it caught me off guard, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I realized that, usually everything you say comes as a thought first. So I had to go back to my thoughts and start to rework that and say, I am open to new relationships. I am open. I'm not seeking, but I'm open, and I'm not going to be that anymore. And I can't even tell you how much of a change that did inside of me, because watching our statements about what we say about ourselves, even what we think about ourselves, and they don't come out of our mouth, but there's definitely in our head. It can define who you are, right?
100%. 100%. And, when you were just talking about our words, and I remember I loved reading Florence Scovel Shinn. And so she has a series of books, but she would talk about your word is your wand. And I really think your word is your wand. Like, the more you say something, it has an energy behind it, it has a vibration to it, and it has an identity level to it, right? And so if we can be like more aware of what we are saying, it's those little whispers in our head all the time, that if we can be more aware of those, it will really change our life, because we can really be like, I can't believe I was saying this all the time. Like, even I can't, like saying I can't all the time, or I have no choice. I have no choice. Those words are extremely powerful. And then they block us from seeing any other options out there. And so I love that you brought that up, because our words are our wand. I really believe that. And we're always creating with what we are saying. It's super powerful. Because we even think about, like, when you say something to somebody else, and you say like a compliment, or you say something that, changes the way they see things, how powerful is that, right? What you're sharing with somebody. So our words are very, very, very important. And I think we have to think about that all the time and have this deep awareness. And it's a good thing, even during a day, to just like step away and watch yourself, like watch what you're saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Your words are your wand.
Mm,
You're literally, making whatever you say happen, day by day, and moment by moment. So important. Well, I want to get into some quick fire questions. This is our
mm.
our fast round. It's kind of like a this or that, or make a choice. Give us your thoughts on this. So I would love it if you're watching right now, you answer these questions too. We love it when we hear from you. And there's been some really meaningful times when we connect with some of our audience, and you actually share your heart and your thoughts in the comments. So again, be sure to do that. And we want to bring you along on this journey. But the first question is, I would love to know, which would you choose? Be fearless for one day, or never care what people think again?
Hmm. All right. Well, that's an interesting, oh my gosh, that's a tough one. So I've thought of this many times, because I've thought about the effect of what people think, and how much it can stop myself and other people from doing the things they want to do, like that fear of judgment, or someone not liking you, or whatever it may be. And I don't want to ever lose full connection to other people. I think there's people, certain people that I love to like talk to. It's like, remember we were talking about our inner cabinet, the people that can kind of see things that maybe we can't see sometimes. But I would, and being fearless for a day, oh my gosh, these are so hard, Lori, because I would like some of it. I would like some of it to be fearless for a day, because then I think, I could really see what is possible for me, and it would probably expose a lot of me, right? Like being able to just say, here I am, here it is, all the things. So I'm not answering this very well at all. Not, I'm like a little bit of both on this. But I definitely would like to bring the part of like being judged down a lot, right? And being like very discerning on who I allow in on that. And and being always more about like, what do I believe? Keep asking, what do I believe, right? But on the fearless part, I do love, like, if it was just for one day, it would be really interesting. It would be interesting to see what we would go do. And then, oh my gosh, because there's social media, it could be something else. We were talking about the other day, I was with a whole bunch of friends, and we're like, thank goodness we did not have social media in high school when we were in high school, because we're like, we would have been in so much trouble. Like when we think about what we would go do and all the things. But that was just a sidebar. But I was just thinking that, sometimes that fearlessness though allows you to dream bigger, to it, like actually be in full acceptance of who you are and just go for it. So I was on both sides. If anybody's out there, maybe they are too, but my mind just keeps thinking between the two, and I'd like a little bit of both.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a hard choice. And I think, it's been a while since I've actually kind of struggled with what people think, because I think I went, it's like a pendulum, right? You're a people pleaser and you just worry, and then you just get tired of it. And then you end up just going the opposite, right? Just the whole other opposite. So I think for me, I definitely have made some strides in that area. And I wonder, what would you do if you were fearless for one day? I started thinking about that as you were talking, like, what would you actually do? And I don't know if I put on my business brain and I say, what if I didn't have fear for one whole day and just like put myself out there, or started something new, or did the thing, actually took the steps to do the thing that I really want to do. Um, I think at the end of that, whether it's something fun that you're afraid of, or some other sort of choice, but I think at the end of it, at the end of the day, I think the feeling would be a sense of accomplishment, and a sense of being proud of yourself. And I think that's what we're all kind of searching for. We want to believe in ourselves. We want to be proud of ourselves. And so, growing up in an environment of competitive gymnastics, and I know with you with dance, it's a lot the same. Um, Making mistakes, or it's in front of people, like you're performing and you make mistakes in front of people, fall off the beam. I remember actually straddling the beam, like you do a leap and then you like your foot slips and then you're just like bonk.
Oh, it's so painful. I can't even.
So, so painful. But so I did struggle. I was kind of taught to kind of shame myself, or if the coach said, you did this wrong, or the crowd goes, oh. You do have that sense of, oh gosh, I'm a loser. But reprogramming, and that's the key, right? Reprogramming your thoughts, your mind, your experiences, no matter what it is. Like you said, in the past, there's great things from the past, and there's lessons learned, failures. I think as long as we can take those failures and turn them into something positive, I think that's where the gold really lies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking about when you were talking about gymnastics, I was thinking about dance. I remember one time I did a ballet solo. It started off really well, and then I was like tripping over my feet and everything. And I think my mom was in the audience, and she's like, so at the end, we're like, maybe ballet is not your thing. Like maybe your strong point. But like it was like I remember those moments of like, oh my gosh, you put yourself out there in because ballet wasn't my strongest at the time, but I wanted to try a ballet solo. I was like, I want to try it. But there are moments where we learn stuff about ourselves because I kept going, and I actually did get to be have a spot in a ballet show. I got to actually do that eventually. I worked through a lot of the things, and so when you're talking about the beam, there's so many lessons that we learn as kids, and as long as we get back up and we keep going, that's where we're like, okay, I'm learning to get through that, right? And that's one of that inventory that I love to look back on is the amount of times you kept getting up and you kept going, because that's what makes the biggest difference is just keep going. Keep going.
Oh, totally. Totally. Yeah. And when you're in the middle of a performance, you really don't have a choice. You have to keep going. Either that or you just run off the stage and disappear. And
Yeah,
answer for
it's
it
true.
later.
It's true because you're like on a solo. You have no one else to be like with you so that you can be like, oh, oops, but you can't. You're like your oops is really like a oops. Anyways,
Yeah.
but it's those are those challenges again where when you go and do the thing, it does build the evidence for you and it allows you to see what is possible for you. So yeah.
Yeah. And I love how you phrase that, build the evidence, because really what is most helpful when we're talking about designing the life we want or living the life we want, those little wins that we can celebrate, the evidence to tell ourselves, yes, we can, is so important. It just kind of, it's like building a wall and you're just brick after brick after brick. And then all of a sudden you have this great structure that you've built. And, you can look at it and it's actually tangible and you can say, wow, I built that.
Yeah.
So I love that so much. All right. Next question is, if someone handed your dream tomorrow, what would you do? Would you take it immediately, or would you wonder if you deserved it first?
Oh no, I would be like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you. No, you know what? I think I'm just so, I don't want to use the word attached because it is kind of true, but I'm so focused on what I would love and where I want to go and all the things I want to do that I don't talk very often anymore in the like that I don't necessarily deserve it. I think I talk in the more can I do it? I get a little nervous about that. But I think I had to work a lot on the deserving part. Like that it was okay to go after things that you would love. It's okay to, want more. It's okay to try to do this, because there was many times I was very scared. Starting what I was starting, being a single mom, I kept thinking like, is everything I'm doing responsible? I kept, all those stories would run through my head. But, after many years of working at this and doing the things and working with people, and I would be just more like, thank you now. So grateful. How about for you, Lori?
I think I'm right there with you. I think, because maybe it comes from a lifetime of kind of going for goals. Some people maybe aren't used to that and they're just starting something new and they haven't really, maybe their life looked more like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's like a charted path and they just followed it because that's what was laid before them. But for me, I was always trying to look at different options and wanting to go for certain goals, even above and beyond where I was, whether it was professionally or, I just always kind of wanted to do something bigger. And so when I started the Be Awesome Network, and I actually, it wasn't automatic success, right? It was one person at a time, one interview at a time, one day at a time, one week at a time. And it started to catch on, and it was like, wow, I'm actually doing this. And so I think, like what we've said, if someone were to just say, hey, I want you to take over this podcast, and it's like got 1 million followers or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or, I want to hire you to help me, and I'll pay you like $100,000 a year. I'd be like, yes, bring it on, because I think now it's like I feel like I've finally gotten to the place in my life where I can say, I do deserve it. I have worked hard. I have put in the work and paid the dues. And so that was my automatic response as well. So I love when you were like, oh no, I'd be like, take it, take it, take it.
Yeah, I love that. I think like you said, sometimes we look at our life and like we have really moved through a lot of challenges to get even to where we are today. And there was so many obstacles. And so, but during those obstacles, we started to find out who we were and what we could do. And so I think we started to believe in I know that we started to believe in ourselves at a much deeper level. And that is a really important thing. And I know there are, like you were just saying, Lori, there's a lot of people too growing up maybe didn't always hear positive messages and didn't always feel like they were very valuable, or that that they can achieve whatever they would love to achieve, because our environment dictates a lot of that for many of us, right? And so I think it's lots of times having to build our own evidence along the way, and keep reminding yourself of like, way to go, you did this. I've talked about this almost on every podcast, but I think it's so important to celebrate your wins, big and small, because you really have to start to build up your own inner knowing that you can do it, so that when an opportunity like comes to you, that's like, oh my gosh, that you are like, yes, I can do this. I believe I can. And it's like just getting prepared all the time, right? Every bit of evidence is preparing you for the next stage, the next thing coming your way. And also, the other thing I was going to mention about that is, when you have more evidence, your mind actually looks for more opportunities. So when you're feeling kind of contracted and small, you can't see a lot of things outside. But when you start to recognize your wins and you start being like, high five to myself, your mind starts to be like, oh, we can do many things. Like, I didn't know we could, right? And so it just opens up the possibilities. You start to see so many options. And that is a beautiful thing. When you can see options, you're no longer in that stuck position. And so I think it's such a beautiful journey, all of this, right? Of learning more about how to honor who we are and why we're here, and what we can do. And there's so much possibility. There's so much possibility.
I love that. I love that. And I love what you talked about when you talked about, opening up your mind and seeing the options and seeing possibilities, because it's so true when your mind is under stress and you're thinking there's no way out. I learned this a few years ago. It really helped me in a season. It's actually scientific, but I can't remember. I think it's Dr. Marianne something, but there is, everyone knows what the downward spiral is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your brain is just like what we just said. There's no way out. That it's impending doom. There's like, I don't see any options. But it's like, when you open up your mind to be creative and see that there are other options, it's like an upward spiral. So it's
100%.
like, it's opening up, and your brain, actually, the creative side of your brain actually does go, oh, look at all of the different possibilities. Well, maybe I can't go that way, but I could go this way, or I could do this, or what if I focused on this, or what if I just changed my whole my whole career? The people
Yeah.
change their careers all the time. And
Mhm.
so I think it's so important to remember that when you are downward spiraling, when you are feeling like, oh my gosh, whatever it is, at the end of the month, I'm gonna have to start all over again and try to make some more money, or whatever it is, just knowing that, that impending doom, or that outcome that you're dreading is actually causing your brain to shut off.
Yeah.
And it's so important to remember that. I want to ask you, Nicole, this isn't on our question list, but I want to ask you to think of a time when you did kind of open your mind and follow a possibility and surprise yourself.
Yeah, so it's so interesting that you're asking this because as you were talking, I'm like, how did I change some of those things for me? And I know, so this was quite many years back, but it was I was watching how I was talking, and it wasn't like I've always, I think, been a pretty positive person, but when it came to me, like I was more positive about other people and what they could
Yeah.
do and all the things, but not necessarily always on me. And so I was like, what is happening? And I remember I got a book from Chad Helmstetter, and it was like, how do you talk to yourself? And I started to listen to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like how I talk to myself is so important. And I'd put these AirPods in, or my earphones in at the time, and I'd walk around the block listening to what he was saying, and I'm like, oh, my words are so important. And that is actually part of the reason I went into neuroscience and hypnotherapy, is because I wanted to learn how to reprogram the
Mhm.
things that weren't going great for me, and for my clients, both ways. I was like, transformation need to happen here. And so so what I started to do is I started to listen to these hypnosis tracks all the time, and they would relax my nervous system.
Mhm.
And I would be like, I could picture myself on stages at the time. I could picture myself building this business. I could picture myself in like certain relationships. I could picture like my home. It was all these things. And I could picture the person I was being in there. And it felt so incredible because it was like I was living it in my mind before I had to live it out in real life. So I was seeing it, I was feeling it, I was hearing all like great things. Like it was like, that best friend that's in your ear saying, you've got this and everything. And the more I would listen to it, the more I would watch what I would do during the day. And I would take more chances, and I would go and do more things. And I would catch myself when I was saying not great things. I would catch it. I'd be like, here I go again. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Right. And I would hear that, like, no, that's not you. This is you. So I remember this so deeply. And then I remember being asked to be an MC on a stage for a big group of people. And it was after I had been going through these tracks and listening to all the things. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I remember her asking me, and I'm like, yes, yes, and yes. And she's like, have you done it before? I'm like, no, no. But in my mind, I had many, many times. And what was amazing was that this was the thing that like it helped me reprogram those thoughts. And I know we talk about manifestation and we talk about the things out there, but you actually have to believe that you are the type of person that can do this in
Mhm.
order for it to even materialize in your life, right? I was creating here before I was seeing the reality out there. And so when she asked me, I was like, absolutely. And it was one of the most exciting times of my life because,
Mhm.
I'm so glad I didn't know all the people that were in the audience because I was so new at this and I didn't ask who was coming to this event. And then when I found out all the people, I was like, but it's amazing, Lori. And I know that was a bit of a longer story, but I wanted to share that there was a time where I just didn't believe it enough. Like my self-doubt was much higher than my self-confidence, like my belief in me. And so I had to change it around, and listening to words over and over again, feeling the emotions of it, living it in my safe space before I went out and did the things, and then actually going and doing the things made it all work together. And then it was all of a sudden just becoming who I was. It was just who I was.
Yeah.
How
I
about
love that. You're like, yes, yes, yes. Have you ever done it? No, no. But I think what was key about what you just said is that you had done it many times in your mind. And I think
so
that's
many?
so important, because it is important what we think about and how we visualize ourselves in our lives. When I visualized myself living in Florida, I it, I went back home and got some things ready and was starting that process, and it happened because I visualized it. It's like anything else that we really want, and whatever we're looking for, we find. So that can go against you and it can go for you. So I love that story that you told, because it just reminds me of times that I've said yes, even though I didn't feel completely prepared or completely experienced, but I just said yes and I did it. And we surprise ourselves when we do those kind of things.
We do. And like this, the life that we would love to live. We were talking about this today. Like, am I capable of doing that? I think there are ways to help you ease into that, right? To help you create the new beliefs. And when I had these tracks that I would listen to, it wasn't just listening to it. Every day I was doing things through the lens of that woman who could. So every day I was trying new things so that it would 100% validate what was in those tracks. I wasn't just thinking about it. I was doing things like doing more posts, reaching out to more people. I was living differently, and walking even into rooms differently. I was walking differently. Like, my shoulders were back, my neck was longer. It was just a different way. And that energy itself, started to change my interactions with people. And then everything just kept falling into place. And so to this day, this is what I love to do for people. I create personalized ones for them. Like, they tell me what they would love, and then they can see it and feel it every day, right? And know that it is them. It is them. And I believe it so much. If you actually have a dream on your heart, like it's something calling you, it is meant for you. I don't believe it is not. It's not just knocking on your door every day saying, wake up, I'm here, like by accident. I believe it's fully there for you, saying, this is part of your journey. This is part of you. And so I hope if anybody has that in their hearts, that they're like, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it, because it is something I believe almost divine, reaching out to you saying, this is part of this is your journey, your mission.
Totally, 100%. I love that you said that, because we live so much in our mind. In fact, it never stops, even when we're sleeping. So it's
Yeah.
just this machine just going, going, going. And so we're thinking thoughts, we're feeling feelings, and there are desires in our heart, like you said, that keep coming back and back and back around. And I know for me, it was, I want to design my own life. I don't want to be doing following or helping someone else anymore. I enjoyed it when I did it, but helping someone else's dream come true, I want my dream to come true.
Yeah.
So when I started to do that and started to tell myself I could, things started to happen and fall in place. So it's a real thing. It's not. And I love that you create these tracks that are so personalized for whatever that is, fill in the blank, the dream, whatever it is. Just, listening to it over and over again and hearing that it is possible, because, it does create that upward spiral that we were talking about, that your brain just opens up to that possibility, and it says, yeah, well, maybe I can. So I absolutely love that. I want to take just a quick break and talk about something, because it's just perfect. There is a program called Ignite that Debbie and Nicole have designed. They've invited me to do a bonus week, but it is exactly what we're talking about. It's not just a course you take, it's live sessions. It's filled with all kinds of implementation, and it's for entrepreneurs, coaches, leaders, really anyone who's tired of waiting until they feel ready. They're wanting to ignite the fire, they're wanting to start, but they don't know where to start. And so some of these things we're talking about, like reprogramming our minds, are going to be happening, and it starts Wednesday, August 19th.
Mhm.
And it really digs deep into the beliefs that have been quietly shaping your decisions. And then the process, the 4-week process, plus a bonus week, it just helps you with your self-trust. And at the end of the process, it's a group. It's a group of only 10 women. So spots are filling up. So hurry up and go to shareddiarypodcast.com and look at the information, see if it's right for you. But at the end, you're ready to start. And I think it's so important to be in rooms with people who are like-minded. And there's something about that magic that happens when you're with the positive people. I know for me, when I've gotten onto a Zoom call or even just a in-person event, and other people are feeding into my confidence and telling me I can, something magic happens. And then we actually do, right? So I just wanted to mention that because it's an important thing. Our lives are important, and when we have these dreams and we don't know what to do with them, I think it's important to surround yourself with those kind of people. So is there anything I
No.
left out there?
No, I don't think you did. I think, one of the hardest places to be, I believe, and that's what I was talking about, that desire that keeps knocking on your door, is to be in a place where you're meant for more. Like, you actually know it. I think I have clients come to me. I almost swear almost everybody who comes to me said, I know somewhere I'm meant for more and more of whatever it is that they are coming for. But that's a really tough place to be, in that place of knowing and not doing it. That gap, right? That middle area where you're watching the world kind of go and do the things that you could be doing, or you're not stepping into it, and you're almost mad at yourself sometimes because you're like, I had an opportunity again and I didn't do it, or I didn't put myself out there, and then another day we don't do it again, and another day and another week and another month. And then it's like you come to like January 2027 again, and you're just like, I didn't do it again. And it's not because, it is never because you're not talented enough, smart enough, valuable enough, any of those things. It's because we have certain stories that are holding us back from what we truly would love to do. And many times when we're not surrounded by a group of people who are there to support you, there to help you see the stories and to hold you accountable for doing your next step, you will often stay the same. The mind loves comfort. The more that you can stay doing the same, the mind's like, awesome, because then you can't feel fear, and then you can't move through things, because the mind doesn't know how beautiful it is on the other side. The mind doesn't know all the greatness. It only knows what you've told it over and over again, or what you have done over and over again. And that is what it says is safe. Right. And so this program is, I'm so excited about it, because there are so many people with brilliant, beautiful ideas that are going to help the world do different things, or help themselves do different things. And we need to get them out there, because there's no better time than now. There is no better time than now to be able to say yes to you. And I think, a supportive small group can make a huge, huge difference in people's lives, because it can really help you move through that when your nervous system is scared and you are scared. I get it. I've been scared so many times too, but I know when I've had these people around me to make me feel like it's okay, you can take these little leaps together, that the progress is incredible.
I love that. I love that. I've actually experienced that so many times, being in that small setting, that small group, and you almost come out of it feeling invincible, like you can't fail, And then to have those people that you've connected with, and like you said, hold you accountable. I know that's sometimes can be like a negative thing, but it's not really. it's not really a negative thing, and it's not a slap on the wrist if you don't. It's just like it's a cheerleader, right? It's having that cheerleader.
100%. And I think accountable, like a lot of us need that only because we're scared, right? It's like, can you please, I've asked people, please hold me accountable because I'm so nervous to do this. And so I need you by my side. Just like you said, that cheerleader, it's not saying, oh, you're not doing enough. It's saying, I want this for you too.
Yes.
I want it for you. That's it, right? It's just, I want it for you too. It's not that slap on the wrist. It's like, I'm with you. I'm walking shoulder to shoulder with you.
I know. And I love that because it's like sometimes people actually believe in us more than we believe in ourselves. And so that excitement is contagious, and and that belief is so encouraging, and it really does ignite you to take that next leap. I'm not even going to say step. Sometimes it's just a leap. Just do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing that I think about, one of the most important things in order to have transformation or change is to feel safe. And that is what we're really, really focusing on within these groups, is that you can come in and feel safe about maybe some of the stories you've been holding or the reasons why it hasn't been happening, or, you can feel safe to be you. And that to me is so important, to be held in a place where you can, let your guard down and allow whatever is needing to come through.
Love it. Love it. Well, I can't believe it, but we're running out of time again. And I do want to mention that every single week on our website, we post reflection guides. So shareddiarypodcast.com, right there on the front page, you can click on the link, you can download a reflection guide. And I actually was reading it before we started this episode, and it's so helpful. It has a diary entry, it has lines for you to fill out, it has questions, reflection questions, it has encouraging quotes. It's a tool that you can use to take this conversation more personal and have some time on your own to really dig deep and think about, what are your next steps? What are you going to do with this information? How are you going to reframe your mind and your beliefs? And so I love this. I love it. In fact, I think we should do a whole episode and just follow the reflection guide one time. So we'll do that. But I do want to answer some questions because I want to throw these out there for you guys. We have some really good actionable practices. It's not only in the reflection guide, but I want to say them right here. So if you don't download the reflection guide, which you should, you can kind of just take some steps for yourself. But challenging you this week to notice every time you hear yourself, I'm just not that kind of person who, fill in the blank. Write it down and then ask yourself, who taught me that? Is it actually true? Or is it simply a story I've repeated so many times that it feels true? Because a lot of times that's what is the real thing, right? It feels so true. Mm-hmm. And then choose one small action this week that the future version of you, talking about, projecting, visualizing, that version of you would naturally take, and not to prove yourself, but simply to create new evidence, like Nicole said. So one small action. So I love that because it's something you can actually, take a diary, a sheet of paper, something, write these things down, and then visualize what the future you would actually do. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Nicole.
Yeah, the future you, I use that quite often, even in coaching. We sometimes we call it our highest self, or the person that like has already achieved what you would love. What decisions would they make? And actually, I had a really good reflection on something the other day. I was listening to more about your future self, and it was a gentleman who was very tired with work and everything, and he said, I hadn't been paying attention to my kids and my family as much, and he said it was just kind of bothering me. And then he thought about himself at 60 years old, and he thought about what that person would be saying to him today, and he'd be like, that time is going to be gone. Like by the time you're 60 years old, the kids have already started to maybe have their own kids. They're all doing their things. So it made him rotate, like think about like, I should be so grateful to have today because they're here. They want to play with me today. They want to be with me today. They actually are in my house today. And he said, my older version of me was saying, go and do it now. Like do this now. And so I think about that within business. I think about it in anything in our life, is that if you could project out a little bit further, what advice would they give you right now where you are right now? All the things you're probably missing about how great you are right now and what you could do right now. And so I love that you brought that up today, because we can always check in with our future self many times. Like the person that has achieved the things, what decision would they make today? What would they do today? And just like start getting on board with them, because they've already achieved what you would love to achieve. And when you do what they would do, you become the person who can achieve the goal. I think sometimes we think that gap is so big, but all we have to start to look at is like, what are their habits? What way do they think every day? And if I could even do one of those a day, I'd be on my way.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Future you. So I'm gonna actually channel the future me this week, and I'm gonna do some brave things, and we'll maybe report on that next week. But
yes, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. We'll keep we'll cheerlead each other on.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to revisit the quote because I just think this is so, so powerful. You don't become a different person before you create a different life. You begin creating a different life. And in the process, you discover who you were capable of being all along. So thank you guys for joining us. I want to ask one more final question. We always like to ask this question. If you wrote one sentence at the bottom of today's diary entry, what would it say? How about you, Nicole?
Based on what this is today, you are enough. You are enough. You can do this. Like, just be you. There's nobody else like you. And I believe that for everybody. There's nobody else like you.
Oh, wow. I love that. So powerful. I think for me, my diary entry, what would it say? I think it would be, I'm ready to stop believing that I'm the kind of person who can't, and I'm going to start believing that I'm the kind of person who can. So,
I love that one. I love that one. So good. I might borrow that too. That's my line too.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us today. And if today resonated with you, we'd love for you to be a part of the Shared Diary community. So subscribe and follow along on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and go to shareddiarypodcast.com for more information on Ignite and those reflection guides. And that's a place where you can go to get our contact information to reach out. We really do appreciate and love each and every one of you. And we love this community that we're building, this shared space, this shared experience. And so that's why we call it the Shared Diary, because life really is better when the diary is open. So thanks, guys, for being with us.
Thank you.
Before we close today's diary, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending your time with us, for listening, for reflecting, and for being willing to open your heart along with ours. It truly means more than you know. The Shared Diary isn't just our story, it's yours too. If today's conversation encouraged you, challenged you, or reminded you that you're not alone, we'd love for you to stay connected. You can find us at shareddiarypodcast.com, where you'll discover episode archives, resources, and ways to connect with our community. If you'd like to reach out to Lori, Debbie, or Nicole, you'll find all of our information there as well. We'd love to hear your story. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, don't forget to like this episode, leave us a comment, and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy podcasts, be sure to follow the show, leave a rating, and share it with someone who might need to hear today's message. Most importantly, keep showing up, keep growing, keep sharing your story, because life is better when the diary is open. We're here for you. You're not alone. We'll see you next time on The Shared Diary.